General Secretary of the NDC, Mustapha Gbande, has disclosed that some government appointees are allegedly recruiting MPP sympathizers instead of prioritizing NDC foot soldiers. This comes at a time when the ruling party is already under pressure to create job opportunities for its teeming supporters nationwide. In an interview with Evans Mensah on PM Express, Mr. Gbande revealed that certain government appointees are quietly offering positions to MPP sympathizers, an issue the party has formally reported to the president for appropriate action.
They are now interested in jobs. They are now, angry with appointees who are still employing and promoting MPP people. And that is what I'm busy discussing and trying to deal with.
Are there appointees who are appointing MPP people?
Yes, some appointees are not living by the president's expectation.
They are John Mahama appointees who are appointing MPP people?
That is what the grassroots perceive, and that is what I'm just telling you.
How is that even possible?
Well, so that is the unthinkable thing that some of them believe, and we must interrogate it and come to terms.
They believe. Have you verified?
I receive complaints every day about some appointees.
They're appointing MPP people?
Yes. There are ministers who have left their ministries in the hands of chief directors to do that.
But that's
Evans, when we won the election, okay, there was a ministry in particular that they intentionally used the minister's Land Cruiser to hit something, and they scrapped it and stole Land Cruisers. It took drivers to tell us what the chief directors have made. It is not only politicians who are fleecing this country. Chief directors are part.
No, so when you say employing MPP, you mean the chief directors are not, they are career civil servants.
When you are a career person and you depart from the dictates of the career, you are as worse as somebody who is against Ghana's interest.
Have these ministers been told? Have you confronted them?
We've mentioned to some appointees, some won't listen, so we have left that for the president.
The president has been informed of this?
Of course, I've had the occasion to inform the president about some appointees.
And he says what to you?
He is our father. We will leave that to him.
Well, President Mahama has decried the rising number of ethnic land and chieftaincy disputes across the country, describing them as a major headache for the government. Speaking during a courtesy visit by the National Peace Council, he said the conflicts are exerting significant pressure on the security agencies who have been deployed to maintain peace in various hotspots. He stressed the need to adequately resource the National Peace Council to help address some of these disputes.
All of us are concerned about the proliferation of conflicts across our country. There's a rising intolerance, you find, and it's resulting as a result of disagreements, first and foremost to do with chieftaincy. It is putting a lot of pressure on our security services. A lot of our security services are tied down in conflict areas. I mean, Sampa, we have a whole contingent there. You go to Nkwanta, we have a whole contingent there. You go to Boko, we have a whole contingent there. Recently, Savannah, we had a whole contingent there. We've not withdrawn them yet. And yet there are so many of these, all over the country. Have to do with ethnic disputes, have to do with land disputes. And it's become a major headache for government. And so that's why we need to resource the Peace Council, to be able to carry out its mandate.
Well, join me now on Zoom is a security consultant, Professor Kwesini. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. Quite worrying, we're just hearing from the Peace Council engagement with the president that there are about 449 hotspots across the country. And this is shocking. How did we get here?
No, because we are hypocritical. We don't tell ourselves the truth. We want to, like the ostrich, hide beneath the table. The 449 by 1st January, it will be considerably higher than that because we are looking at things wrongly. And that's number one. Number two, I like the president's point about adequately resourcing the National Peace Council. But I have a suggestion to make. To make the Peace Council independent of undue influence and interference. We've got to put the Peace Council as a specific budgetary item on the national budget that gives them the space and the leeway to make the tough decisions and to call out those who are conflict profiteers. Thirdly, I think it's important that Ghana has changed dramatically since the Peace Council was established, and to look at the Peace Council Act and to broaden the membership of the council. Right now, it is very religious members heavy. We need to broaden that to bring in more women, more youth, so that it is reflective of the country that they are seeking to build peace. Finally, is that the Peace Council is one of the soft instruments of Ghana's power. Everyone is looking up to the Peace Council, learning from it, and the Peace Council as a part of our infrastructure for peace is really doing a great job, but it can do much better.
Many have criticized the Peace Council that they failed to do their job of mediating the impasse, especially in Boku, where the president had to invite the Asantehene to do the mediation. So then the argument arises, why resource them if they are failing to do their basic mandates?
No, I think it's always very easy for armchair analysts who have not been to the conflict area to be very dismissive of the efforts that are being done. I mean, if we take the struggles in Boko particularly, and the nature of the conflict, its intractability, the Peace Council has a limit to what it can do. When we mediate and when we negotiate with warring parties, we do so in the belief that we can bring them around the table and then lay out the rules that should govern the subsequent conversations. The Peace Council is best in identifying some of the root causes, bringing it to a multi-stakeholder group, and then getting them to bring their expertise onto the table. It's not every conflict that the Peace Council can resolve. Let me make this point, and I think I've made this point here before. Peace is not a common good. So you've mentioned the Asante-Hene's mediation report, and I think you'll be presenting the report to His Excellency the President on Tuesday. When that report is presented, that is when the hard work of moving to a yes, a win-win situation begins. And there, the Peace Council can play a very important role, building trust, building confidence in the processes, talking to all parties, identifying those who would want to undermine the process, and working on those individuals. So the Peace Council has a role to play, and they will be playing that role in Boko next year.
Some also suggest why not focus that resources on resourcing the security agencies themselves who are on the ground. You've been around for a long time. You know the challenges they face on the ground. Your thoughts on that?
No, I think people are conflating too many things. The budget for the Peace Council that I am asking for should be in the national budget. Cannot buy one helicopter. It cannot buy an armored tank. It cannot buy an armored personnel carrier. It cannot probably even buy 1,000 or 2,000 AK-47s. The kind of resources that we are looking for the Peace Council at the national level, at the regional level, at the metropolitan, municipal, and district levels are just a couple of millions of dollars annually. That will allow them to put the appropriate number of people with the requisite skills, but also give them the independence and the space to do the work that they are supposed to do to the best of their ability. The statutory security forces have all the needs. We know what they are being resourced, but the statutory security forces also need supporting infrastructures to help them. Like the Fusion Center and all the other institutions that we have in this state. They all have a role to play. And it is when they come together in a holistic, integrated, interdependent, and collaborative manner that we can achieve the peace that we are all, aspiring to.
And finally, just before I let you go, you predict that the number of hotspots may rise even before this year ends. How do you propose we deal with that to ensure that we do not see increased numbers?
The resolution part is not my strongest point. But, violence has become profitable in Ghana. We've got to make sure that those who profit from violence, from indiscipline, from the sale of guns are punished. And when they are punished, it should be publicized to serve as a deterrent. Now, there's no compliance in this country. Look, we can resource the statutory security forces as much as possible, give the stakeholders in the infrastructures for peace and the Peace Council all the money. But if we cannot use the law to deter, to punish, and to ensure that people comply, then we are just wasting our time. So we will see some increase. This is not to say that people should not enjoy their Christmas, but do enjoy your Christmas, but be careful.
Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. We appreciate your company. While away from that, civil society organizations are kicking against what they describe as privatization of Ghana's mining lithium mineral. The position was strongly articulated during the stakeholder engagement with the Lands Committee of Parliament. The meeting comes on the back of the Lands Ministry withdrawal of that Ewoya lithium agreement from Parliament on concerns that over the current 5% royalties rate, which many describe as inadequate. The Institute of Economic Affairs, IA, for instance, have pushed for a total public ownership of the lithium deal, warning that the country may lose about $172 billion to foreign entities if this is not achieved. Dr. Charles Mensah is founder and chairman of IA.
Our estimation of this lithium is $172 billion US. That's the total value of what is. If you take the quantum that has been described by the lithium company, by the Australian company, they're saying they're finding a quantum of 1.
We'd like to apologize for that interrupted sound, but President of Imani Africa, Franklin Kujo, has also kicked against the award of more lithium concession to the private entities.
Saw the numbers of the company, in this particular case. What's the company's name again? Atlantic, right. We found out that even as we speak, the outreach price is about $1,587 US, right? Lithium is playing around $1,200 right now, and we understand. But they did that because they knew that the value of lithium could rise and fall. But they used the base rate as in their cost. Their cost was rated at about $610. So it tells you that as we speak, even if they started mining, clearly they're going to make about 45% margin. Even before, I mean, that's revenue, right? Before the profits are taken away. And at the time we were willing to sign this deal with them, in fact, the margins was just about 20% because the lithium price at the time was $800. Now it's gone up to about $1,002. So you ask yourself, I mean, on what basis are we saying that they need further concessions? Because I think this compensation, they're still going to push. They are business people, and you can't fault them at all. They'll still push and say we want maximum concessions. If every business in this country had 45% margin profit and was still giving they were giving concessions, this country will collapse.
Meanwhile, Senior Research Associate at Imani, Dennis Asare, has called for what he describes as a sliding scale rate for the Ewoya lithium deal with a minimum 10% royalty rate to accrue more benefits for the country and as well as community members.
Should prices go as low as 800, we believe that at a royalty rate of 10%, the net margin is 110, and that if we charge a royalty rate of 5%, it then reduces how much the country can get. And at a royalty rate of 10%, we could be making around $80 per ton. But the company's net margin is going to be around $110. But if we charge 5%, then it gives us $40 per ton. Then the net margin of the company then becomes the $150 per ton. Now, if you come to the current price, that's the recovery, and we call it recovery because at the spot level, this is the price between 1,000 to 1,002.